In the previous video, John talked about students' basic psychological needs and how those needs motivate student behavior. In this video, John will explain how knowledge of students' basic needs can lead to creating a need-fulfilling classroom environment, an environment that is so appealing to students that they will look forward to coming to school. And now, John Erwin.
Okay, so far today we've really talked about the basic needs. I added a couple strategies here. The advanced organizer, it's good to have kids engaged in doing something if you're going to lecture. So I did the lecture and I had you fill out the needs circle, which is an advanced organizer. We did the inside-outside circle and we talked about lots of ways of using it, and then do you know your neighbors. The next thing we're going to do is, well, let me back off first just a second. The needs are why are the needs important to the classroom? Well, these are genetic instructions. You can't turn them off. It's like telling an acorn not to grow roots or a goose to fly south in the spring. They feel the urge to meet these needs. We all are feeling the urge to meet these needs all the time. Now, not consciously, you don't wake up in the morning and think, oh, today I think I'll go meet my need for love and belonging. Or today I think I want to become personally empowered. If you're saying those things to yourself, you've been watching too much Dr. Phil. But you do get up in the morning and you think about the things that you're going to do that day that are going to meet your needs. Now, there are two ways of meeting our needs in general terms. Responsible ways of meeting our needs and irresponsible ways of meeting our needs. But we are driven to meet our needs all the time, and if we're not allowed to meet our needs in a responsible way, or not given the opportunity to meet our needs in responsible ways, we're still driven, we're still feeling the urge, and we will meet them in less responsible ways, like my stepson shouting out that I've got 6 100s. What need is he trying to meet? Power, right? Recognition, showing how good he is. But that's an irresponsible way of meeting his needs, because the definition of irresponsible is meeting your needs but depriving other people of meeting theirs. So responsible behavior is behavior that allows you to meet your needs but doesn't deprive other people of meeting theirs. Simple one that all kids can understand. So if we are able to provide a needs-satisfying environment, which is what my book is all about, creating the environment, creating the conditions for those acorns to grow, if we do that intentionally, it does a couple things. Number one, it shows the kids that you care enough about them to make it a fun, happy, empowering, connecting place. So that builds that relationship with them. It also increases their motivation to behave, and what will happen to learn and to behave responsibly. And what will happen is the kids will be more likely to want to come to your classroom. They're going to enjoy being there. They're going to be more engaged, and the irresponsible behavior is going to disappear eventually. Because if you give people opportunities to meet their needs in responsible ways, why would they have to act out? You know, just picture this, and maybe this is already what you experience on a daily basis. But imagine going to work in a place that's organized, safe, and orderly, it's secure, where you have good friends, you feel connected, where you feel you're able to play to your strengths and have an impact, really make an impact, where you have choices of how you do things, and where you have fun. How would that be? Wouldn't that be beautiful? That would be wonderful. That's what life is all about. And you would probably behave, continue to go there, feel motivated to be there and do what you do. But if you're not, if you're deprived of those needs, if you don't feel safe, if you don't feel connected, if you don't feel like you're able to have an impact, you feel like you're trapped and you're not having any fun, again, that's when the irresponsible behaviors come out. So that's the main premise of this training. Okay, as I alluded to before, we all have all 5 needs. Now, there are members of anything that's genetically based, there's going to be genetic variation. Just like skin color, eye color, height, weight, and that kind of thing. There's genetic variation. Internally, there's genetic variation as well. We all have all 5 basic needs. Now, there are members of the population who don't seem to have a love and belonging need. What do we call those people? Sociopaths. There are like 0.01% of the population just doesn't seem to have any need to connect with other people in a meaningful way. They use people to their own devious ends, but they don't really need people. So there are some of those people out there that don't seem to have that love and belonging need. but they're a very minuscule part of the population. There are some people who don't seem to have a power need. Glasser calls them the workless. They never quite complete a program that they get into. They don't really want to achieve anything. They don't seem to do that, and they tend to be men. Isn't that sad? So do sociopaths, by the way. Most sociopaths are men. Yay! So proud of my gender. But the workless will latch onto a meal ticket. They even have a name for it. They latch onto a meal ticket and marry the meal ticket, or end up living with a meal ticket, and that's the person that provides for them, because they don't really have the power to provide for themselves, or don't really want to have the power. Okay, but most of us are somewhere within the normal range of our needs. So we all have all 5 needs, but we have them in varying degrees, and that's what Dr. Glasser calls your needs profile. I like to call it your internal profile, because not only are our external profiles, you can see mine right there, kind of big nose, all our external profiles are unique, so are our internal profiles. And we're going to do an activity around it, and you're going to discover your internal profile, and then you're going to think about your friends and maybe some of the students in your classroom and maybe your spouse and his or her internal profile. But here we go. So the definition of the internal profile are the relative strengths of the 5 basic needs that an individual experiences. It's genetically based. Again, this is all nature-nurture, so there's going to be environmental influences, but they tend to be genetically based. I got my high love and belonging need from my mom. I got my high power need from my dad, and I can just point to relatives who I seem to have other needs based on. Your needs profile, you're born with it. Your internal profile, you're born with it, and it remains relatively stable throughout your life. So if a person is born with a high love and belonging need, and the environment doesn't thwart that too much, they're going to generally have a high love and belonging need throughout their life. They're going to be a social person, they're going to be a caring person, they may be people pleasers to a certain extent. So it's relatively stable throughout your life, and I'm going to contradict that slightly in a few minutes, because developmentally our needs change, and based on the environment our needs change too. But if you're born with a certain needs profile, it remains relatively stable throughout your life. And it influences your behavior like lots of other things that influence your behavior, your culture, your family, your religion, where you grew up, your birth order. There's lots of things that influence your behavior. And this is just another influence. I think it's a pretty strong influence, but it's not a determinant. Nothing determines the way you behave. We have free will. Okay, here's some complications. Our needs seem to ebb and flow developmentally. As I said before, small children and babies, they're all about survival. It's all about meeting their survival needs and being safe and that kind of thing. My baby Lena, when she was the first few months, it's all about eating, sleeping, and other pleasant things, and having diapers changed. Then when she got to be about a year and a half, so it's all about survival at first. When she got to be about a year and a half or so, she started saying the word that usually kids don't say until they're 2, but she was an advanced child. She started saying that word that suggests that there's a high power need, that there is a power need. And what is that word? No. No has an impact on my world, says the little thing. They realize that when they say no, they're going to get some kind of response. That's powerful. No, I want control. They may not even know what no means, but they know it has an impact on the people around them, the adults. So they start saying no and acting in ways that suggest that their power need is flowing. Then, she's almost 3. December 12th is her birthday. So you can send cards and letters. No. She starts saying things like, I want to do it myself. I want to get dressed myself. I want to go potty by myself. What need is that? It's a little power, but it's also freedom. That freedom flows. And then for most kids, between the ages of 4 and 10, it's all about love and belonging and fun. And those kids are just a joy to work with. Now, individuals have different needs profiles, but generally speaking, the needs for love and belonging and power and fun really flow during those years. Then we hit adolescence, and it's all about power and freedom and fun. Fun is always there. And that's why they're so difficult to work with. Genetically speaking, though, it makes sense for kids at adolescent to start pulling away from adults and to start, stretching their wings, pushing the envelope, testing their limits, and becoming individuals, and with an individual identity, and eventually they're going to have their own little nuclear family and so forth. So it makes sense to pull away. So freedom and power are really flowing during the adolescent years. And love and belonging flows then too, but not with you. Not with you, with their peers. So that's something to keep in mind. That's why adolescents are so so difficult to work with sometimes. So our needs ebb and flow developmentally, and about 22 or 25, they kind of settle back down into what they were to begin with. Then our needs fluctuate daily based on our situation. If everybody in here got a pink slip today and found out you weren't going to have a job in a month, what need would suddenly come to mind? Survival. Yeah, you'd be all about survival. Even people with a low survival need normally would suddenly be much more aware of that need. So, and when I travel a lot, it's good for a couple of days, freedom from children, but I get lonely and I miss my family, so my love and belonging need kicks in. And then, lastly, we're most aware of the needs which we feel a deficit in at the moment. So if I talked at you for an hour straight, your need for freedom would kick in. Or around 11:25, you're going to start thinking, when's lunch? Which is survival. So it's dynamic, it's complicated, it's complex, but that's the way human behavior is, dynamic, complicated, and complex. So we're going to do an activity now that has you discover, in general terms, what your internal profile is. So at your table, you have an internal profile assessment word cluster sheet. Does anyone need one? Okay. You need one? Okay. So here are the directions. For each row of word clusters, Ross, what direction do rows go in? Across. So for each row going across of word clusters, you need to assign a 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1 next to each word group. So for each row, there's going to be a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5. A 5 represents the word group which, now thinking about yourself, your personality throughout your life, like if you were a third-party, objective observer of your life, which of those word clusters would seem to be most important based on your behavior? So a 5 would be the one that would be the most important, a 1 would be the one that's the least important, and then 4, 3, 2 in between. It's a forced choice activity. I know all of these are important, but based on your behavior and your personality, which would seem to be most important to you? You do that for each row, and then wait, and we're going to score it together. So just take a few minutes and do that. Okay, are we ready? Please draw a little heart around the following clusters. Around the clusters, like, no, just these word clusters. Draw little hearts around these 5 word clusters. The first row, draw a little heart around family, friends, cooperation. In the second row, a little heart around relationships, communication, closeness. The third row, the fourth one over, put a little heart around feelings, sympathy, helping. The next row, intimacy, kindness, and warmth. And the last row, understanding, generosity, and nurturing. Okay, so those are going to be your love and belonging clusters. Okay, now, why don't you add those up? Add those up. Everything that has a heart around it, add it up. You need a calculator? No. You take off your shoes. Just add them up. The reason I'm having you put a heart around them is you can create your own scoring key if you wanted to use this with your students or modify it for your kids. Okay, does anyone need more time to do the addition? Okay, please put a circle, the power circle, a circle around the following cluster, starting with the first row. Achievement, goals, purpose, circle. Growth, strength, and control, the last one in the second row. Right below that, learning, competition, and high standards, circle that one. The fourth row, recognition, being heard, and winning. And the last one, challenge, skillfulness, and work. Those are the power clusters. Add those up. And then put your score down below where it says. Okay, squares. Let's do squares. Let's put freedom in a box. Freedom in a box. We'll put a square around, where am I? Autonomy, self-reliance, free will in the first row. Second row, independence, space, choices. Third row, novelty, change, and freedom is a square. Fourth row, adventure, risk, outdoors. Fourth row, the last row, flexibility, travel, and liberty. How many different ways can you say freedom? Add those up. That's your freedom score. Star the following. Oh, are you done with adding, doing the addition? Okay. The following are the fun ones. Fun, first one, play, pleasure, enjoyment. Star that. Laughter, joy, amusement, right below that. Games, humor, fun. Star that one. Fourth row, spontaneity, excitement, celebration. And last row, last one, wit, innovation, and variety. Add those up. Those are that's your fun need. And then all the ones that are not marked are survival. So add those up when you're done. When you've done all the addition, rank your needs down below, the highest, from highest to lowest. Okay, let's move on. If you look up at the screen, I'm going to describe in general terms the different needs profiles. Okay, now I have to preface this by saying the descriptions you're about to see are overly simplified. They're overly general. And probably no one fits any one of these descriptions perfectly because, say, someone has a high love and belonging need. Okay, they're going to tend to be a social person, a caring person, a compassionate person. But there's going to be a second highest need, which is going to also have an influence on their behavior. And if we had 5 people with a high love and belonging need working together, and they looked at their second highest need and their third highest need and their fourth, that's going to be different, and that's going to manifest itself differently in their behavior too. So I'm not trying to divide the world into 5 types. I'm always skeptical about personality sorters that kind of sort the world into 4 or 5 different types. I think that's too simplistic. But for the sake of the activity, we're going to kind of do that. So anyway, let me read to you some descriptions I came up with that seem to describe in general terms the different 5 basic needs. A person with a high survival need would probably say something like, I'm not a big risk taker. I like things to be well organized and neat. I have a fairly regular routine that I live by. I think about my health. I try to eat healthily and attempt to get the proper amount of exercise and rest. I like the security my job provides, and I try to invest for retirement. My friends, family, and coworkers like the fact that I'm punctual, organized, and can be depended on. So that's kind of a generalization of people with a really high survival need. As you're going through this, you might think, oh, that description really matches me better than my assessment did, so go with this. You know yourself better than I do. The next one, someone with a high love and belonging need would probably say something like, I'm a people-oriented person, relationships are my highest priority, I love warmth and intimacy, and my thoughts are often about the well-being of my friends and family, and I like to be in regular contact with them. I enjoy social events, and my favorite pastimes involve being with other people. My friends, family, and coworkers like the fact that I'm warm, compassionate, friendly, and cooperative. Just like me. Okay. People with a high power need might say something like, I'm an achievement-oriented person. I love to learn and grow personally and professionally. I set goals, have high standards, and often meet or exceed them. Once I have achieved one goal, I set another. I believe people should do their best to reach their potential in life. I love healthy competition. To me, all competition is healthy, according to these people. I'm proud of my accomplishments and enjoy the recognition that they sometimes bring. I enjoy teaching and supervising others, even when it's not my job. My friends, family, and coworkers respect me. Respect is the key word there, for my skills, accomplishments, and high expectations. Okay. Someone with a high freedom need might say something like, I love my independence. I like to have the autonomy to control the direction of my own personal and professional life. One of the things I value in my job is the freedom it affords me. I resent people trying to manipulate or control me. I thrive in an environment filled with novelty and change. I love traveling to new places and spending time outdoors. I value my solitude. Some of my most treasured time is time spent doing something alone. I love the Apple computer saying, think different, even though we teachers know it should be think differently. My friends, family, and coworkers remark about the fact that I'm a unique individual and I'm not easily swayed by popular opinion. And finally, to me, life should be a celebration. I love to laugh and play. I try to bring a sense of joy to everything I do and liven up even the most boring tasks. I seek sensual pleasures, good food and drink, great music, art, etc. I love games, celebrations, festivals, and parties. I have a great sense of humor, if I do say so myself, and like to make others laugh. My friends, family, and coworkers like me because I'm high-spirited, engaging, and just darn fun to be around. Okay, woohoo! All right. Please raise your hand if you determined that your highest need was survival. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, good. 5. Okay, please raise your hand, and this is going to be overwhelming. If your highest need, you determined your highest need was love and belonging. Oh, okay. Power. Excellent. Freedom. Woohoo. And fun. Okay, awesome. All right, now, we need to break up into homogeneous groups for this next activity, and the love and belonging group is way too big. So, I'm going to ask those of you love and belonging people, do you have a close second? Like within 5? Within 5 points. What's yours? Go with the fun group. Go with the power group. Could you go with the power group? Fun? Fun people. Okay, fun. Freedom. Good, we need more in the freedom group. Anybody else? A close second. No, we don't. We don't want to be around those people. Yes. Power? Okay.
Freedom.
Yes, go with the freedom group. Yes, go with the power group.
Survival.
Oh, yes, we need you in the survival group. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. When we break up, this is an activity called corners. Now, you can use corners in a variety of ways. One way of using corners with young kids is to you go with a theme. You pick a theme, and you subdivide the theme into 4 corners. For example, animals could be the theme. And you might put fish in one corner, cats in one corner, birds in another, and horses in another. And you'd say to the kids, go to the corner of the animal that you like the best. Okay? But before they do that, they have to either draw or write a word of the animal that they feel like they are most like, or that they like the most on a 3x5 card, because if you don't do that, they'll just go to the corner with their friends. So that's their ticket to the corner. With a little bit older kids, you can not just talk about what they like, but what they are like. You might take vehicles. And are you most like a Hummer? Are you most like an airplane? Are you more like a motorcycle? Are you more like a boat? Which one are you most like? They go to the corner, they discuss how they are like that, and now they're working with metaphors, looking at similarities and differences a little bit, and then you might have them say, how are you all like a boat, or how are you all like a motorcycle? You can also do that with literary characters. You know, we've read, these are some of the stories we've read this year. Which character and which story do you most relate to? Go to the different corners and they can talk about it. So corners is something you can, again, it's another plastic process you can use for lots of different things. What we're going to do with it is to use it to talk about this internal profile thing. So here's how it works. When you get to your homogeneous group, you're going to need a facilitator, so you might assign a facilitator, and you're going to each get a big piece of chart paper, and this is what I'd like you to put on the chart paper. What are 3 strengths that people with your highest need bring to a situation? So my highest need is love and belonging. One of them, you know, so what does that, what strengths does that bring to a situation? Well, you know, I like to make people happy, or I'm cooperative. That would be a strength. What 3 weaknesses might others perceive? This is where you get a chance to step outside yourself and see what irritates other people about you. So some people might consider that people with a high love and belonging need are a little bit too much too much of a people pleaser, or overextend a little bit. What vehicle? This is now from here down to the end. You get to have some fun with it. What vehicle would represent your highest need? In the past, people with a high power need might say a Sherman tank. You know, it doesn't have to be a car, just a vehicle. So not what would you drive, because we might not drive a Sherman tank, but it certainly does represent power. What holiday would represent your highest need? What recreational activity? And I say that instead of game or sport, because people with like I said before, people with a high survival need, you know, cleaning the garage might be a recreational activity. What footwear would represent your highest need? What smell? That's a fun one. What slogan? And then a gesture. And then we're going to ask you to present this, and you don't have to write down the gesture. Your group just has to do it when we get back in as a group. This should take you about 15 minutes. Here's your poster. You just put the title. This is the top because it's got the sticky stuff on it. And make it look like your knees are.
I'm cleanly, I admit it.
She's clean.
That's half the battle. I've admitted it.
That's the first step.
First step. Oh, it's 12?
Okay, our vehicle.
I was thinking minivan
That's
because
the
you-
first thing.
Minivan sounds good.
Just, what's our vehicle? Okay, one more. What was it? Encompass.
Vacation.
This activity can be a fun way for students to learn about basic needs and how those needs might manifest themselves in others. This is also an excellent activity for teachers, because the better teachers can identify needs in students, the better they can adapt their instruction and classroom management to allow all students to meet their needs. Now we will see a few examples of what the teachers came up with.
So we're the survival group, and I was told to give a little purpose here. We are not boring. We are not. We have fun too. We said that the three things, our strengths are punctuality, we're organized, and we're dependable. But our weaknesses, some people might think that we're a stick in the mud. It's totally not true though. That we're too organized and we can't delegate. We would just rather do it ourselves because it'll be right. We said that our car would be like a Volvo or a Honda, something very dependable, something practical. It's going to start every day. It's going to keep you warm. It's going to keep you cool. Our holiday would be Thanksgiving.
Very traditional.
Yes, traditional. There's a purpose. It's still fun, but and he said nobody gets hurt.
Except the turkey.
We went around the table for recreational activity, and we all had different ones. We kind of left that just. Everybody has their own idea of recreational activity, and we didn't want to fit into a certain mold for that. And then our shoes would be like a classic color, like a good pair of black shoes, a good pair of brown shoes. Our smell would be fresh linen, like when you open up the dryer, that's our smell. And our slogan is have a plan, and our gesture is the check mark.
The Loving Belonging group, we said that our strengths were we're caring, we're peacemakers, and we're good listeners. Our weaknesses as perceived by others is that we're overly sensitive, we're needy, and we're clingy. Our vehicle, of course, is either a minivan or a school bus because we're always wanting to carry people to do things. Holidays was Thanksgiving or Valentine's Day. And the recreation activity that represents us would be scrapbooking because we want all the memories and things like that, as well as building sandcastles. And our shoe were slippers, because that comfort, homey type thing, get warm and fuzzy, yes.
Fuzzy bunny slippers.
Yeah. Our smell, baking apple pie, the comfort of the smell of apple pie at home. And our slogan was, be nice, can't we all just get along? And all together, our gesture is a hug.
Okay. As I said, the needs are often exaggerated by when you get into homogeneous groups. I just want to share some of the things that have happened in the past when I've done this activity. Sometimes the power group will end up arguing amongst themselves about the right answer. You know, the Love and Belonging group has often burst into song in the middle of the thing, and then someone will come screaming out of the group going, they're not my people, and they go to the fun group or something like that. Quite often the fun group hurries up and gets it done fast so they can move on and have fun. That didn't happen this time. But another thing that happens with the fun group is they keep going off task, and I have to keep reminding them to keep moving. The survival group is quite often, oh, where's your poster, survival? Let me just see. Oh, no. What has happened in the past, accidentally or non-consciously, is they'll have these things listed in alphabetical order. You know, and they didn't even think about it, but notice how nice and neat it is, color-coded and all that, so that's part of it. So there really is something to this. After lunch, we're going to talk about, so what? What does this have to do with teaching and instruction and management? And I think you'll see that it has a lot to do with it.